Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. I'm Nika and I make book related videos, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all my February kind of wrap up or update of the reading journal, as well as my update for the next month, that is March, and lastly my March TBR. So I hope you stay tuned, grab your cup of tea or coffee and enjoy this video. So February was a pretty good reading month. I read a total of 17 books, which I think is a big deal. And I had an amazing time actually. I think I did read a lot of heavy books, and at the same time, I also ended up reading a few romance novels, I think novellas as well, just to make a balance, because after reading so much, heavy literary fiction stuff, I needed something light, more or less mindless you could say, and that is where romance came in. So I read a lot of romance as well. I read Gabriel Sands for the first time. I finished the Sinners series, which I was reading previously. The last book was only remaining for me to read, and then I also got up with the latest Katharina Mora books, and now with Katharina Mora also I think only one book is left for that particular series to be over. So yeah, it's been a pretty good reading month. As for the books, I read a lot of books for the Black History Month as well, which is really good. And another thing is that I did end up reading a lot of books that I already own. So I did make a dent in my physical TBR, which was definitely a goal of mine this year. I haven't read all my physical unread books yet, but we're going there. We've made at least we've taken the first few steps. So hopefully the rest of the journey will be nice. So yeah, in this part I'll just wrap up my February and hope you have a good time watching this reading journal wrap up kind of thing. I really like doing the statistics. It really gives me a lot of joy, so that's what I did. Now let's move on to March. I have a really big TBR for March this year, and that is because I will be participating in 2 readathons in March, and I'm really excited for both of them. I really do hope that I end up reading all the books, but at this point you have to be practical, because I have more than 10 books I think for my TBR. So even if I read at least one book for each of the prompt, that'll be a good thing for me. So without further ado, let me first mention the first reading kind of challenge that I'll be doing. So this is a Korean March challenge, which is being organized by Saloni and Sulagna. So in January, they did the January in Japan readathon, which I had a lot of fun with. And this time in March, they're doing the Korean readathon, wherein you'll basically consume Korean literature, Korean media. It's quite flexible as well, so you can also end up reading books, you can watch K-dramas, whatever it is. I actually just finished a K-drama, Marry My Husband, which was really interesting. But that is why I don't think I'll be starting with another one anytime soon. As such, I'm going to be instead reading a lot, which is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, because I do think I've read quite a bit of Japanese books, Japanese literature, but I haven't read as many Korean books, so I'm going to change that. There are no particular prompts in this reading challenge, so let me just tell you about the 4 books that I've picked up. So I think I should give you a disclaimer that for this TBR, a lot of the books that I will read are still in transit. Either that, or I'll read some of them as Kindle books on my Kindle. So yeah, without further ado, let's start. The first book that I want to read for Korean March TBR is I Wanna Die, But I Wanna Eat Tteokbokki by Baek Sehi. And this has been translated by Anton Hoor, who also translated Bora Chung, I believe. So this is a part memoir, part self-help. This is a book to keep close and to reach for in times of darkness. I have heard a lot about this book, and as you can see, it's really short also. This is basically conversations with the author's psychiatrist, so the conversations that the author has with her psychiatrist. So it should be, I am guessing, not that an easy read, because of course it deals with mental health, and as you can see from the title itself, I Want to Die. So I think I'm going to read this slowly over the month, savor it, and take away what I need to from this book. So the next book that I really want to read is Pachinko. Now, unfortunately, I will have to read the Kindle version of this book. My sister has this book, but the book is with her in Delhi right now. I'm in Assam. So I'm just going to go ahead and get myself the Kindle book and then read it. And as far as I know, there is also a show on it. It has also been really critically well acclaimed. It's a multi-generational saga as far as I know. And that is all I know. But yeah, I have very high hopes for this one. If you have read this, let me know, because I've heard only good things about this. But I do have to say that the thickness kind of intimidates me, but we'll read it. Next book that I want to read for this challenge, Korean March, is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. I actually have no idea about this book. I've heard so much about Han Kang and their work, so I really want to explore The Vegetarian. Then there's the White Book, I think, Human Acts. So many of these books, I've read none of them. So I'm going to start with The Vegetarian, because I have seen that it's kind of short, so it might not be that bit of a difficult read, I think. I don't know. Again, if you've read this book, let me know what you think. And the last book that I'm going to read for this challenge is Kim Jae-young, born 1982. This is another book that my sister owns, but unfortunately is in Delhi, so I'll have to get the Kindle version. Again, it's very short, same as this one, I think. So I'll probably read it very soon. And yeah, that's it. Those are all the 4 books that I have for my Korean March TBR. I'm very excited for them. And I think the technique that I'm going to use is I'm going to pick up the short books first, so that I get into the flow a bit, and then only pick up Pachinko, because firstly it's Korean, again a different culture, and it's translated and everything, but most importantly it's set in a different era, so the implications of that are also quite big compared to, let's say, contemporary books I've read. For example, Welcome to the Hunamdong bookshop, which I read I think in January, so kind of different, the scenario is different. So those are all the 4 books I want to read for Korean March TBR, for my Korean March TBR, and I'm very excited. Then moving on, I'm also participating in the Drama Queenathon challenge, and basically it started out as kind of a reading women's literature challenge because it's held in March and we have the International Women's Day in March. But again, which time it has kind of changed and there are a couple more layers to it. So there are three main prompts that you have to follow within this TBR. The first one is read a book, many books, at least one, right? So read a book by a woman author. Second prompt is read a book by an Indian woman and read a book by a trans woman. So these are the three prompts. You can read just one book for each prompt, or you can read 3-4 books for each prompt, so that you read tons. So these are the three prompts. Technically I can read just 3 books and call it a day, but me being ambitious, I've picked up many books. So let's go prompt by prompt. For the woman author's prompt, read a book by a woman author, I have 5 books, which is a lot. So firstly, I have Babel by R.F. Kuang. Now this is a fantasy book that also, it's a standalone fantasy that deals with colonialism, literature, the act of translation, everything. I'm sure you've heard of it because it is quite famous on Bookstagram, BookTube, BookTok as well. So I'm really excited to read it. I was planning on reading it in February, but of course I didn't get to it because of time constraints and everything. So I have pushed it to March and I'll read it for the Woman Author Challenge. Another book that I will be reading for this challenge is Crescent City Part 3, House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. Now I am really excited for this book because I am personally very invested in the SJM universe. So I'm really happy to see it. Now this book is actually part 3 of a series and it's an urban fantasy. So there is modernity, of course, you have skyscrapers, buildings, cars, clubs, nightclubs, everything, but there's also magical elements, fantasy, fae, demons and all of that. So that's that. This is part 3 and I'm really excited for this one. Then moving on, I have 3 other books which I'll read as Kindle because they're quite short. Firstly, I have Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. Now this is a book that is also included in my 12 books by 12 friends challenge. So I'm happy to finally get to it. I have no idea about it basically. So I'm gonna wing it. But then again, I am excited to read it and see how it goes for me. I will also be reading Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jesse Sutanto, I believe, and I am really happy and excited to read it because I've read a few reviews for Diary A for Aunties by the same author, I think, and I thought it was hilarious. According to all the reviews, also the reviews were also hilarious. So I've always been intrigued. I wanted to read Diary A for Aunties, but no, it never happened. And now that I got a chance, I've got a chance to read Vera Wong, I will definitely be getting to it soon. Lastly, I will be reading What You Are Looking For Is in the Library. This is another book that is in my 12 books by 12 friends challenge. So yeah, really excited to read this book as well. And I think it's a collection of stories, if I'm not wrong. And if I'm right, I'm only going to have a good time because I personally really love short story collections. So yeah, those are all the 5, right? Yeah, those are all the 5 books that I'll be reading for prompt 1, that is read any book by a woman author. Then moving on to the second prompt is read any book by an Indian woman, and for this I have 2 books. Firstly, I have Instruments of Torture by Aparna Sanyal. Now I actually have read this author's works before. I read her poetry collection which was called Circus, Folks and Other Tales. I think I might be wrong, but I'll try to put a picture here. It was a poetry collection I read a few years ago and I had a lot of fun with it. It's very funny, very humorous. It's really good. So now that the author is coming out with the debut, I think her debut fiction, so I'm really excited to read it. It's quite short as well. This is a short story collection and I think the cover is simply stunning. Descent into the deepest, murkiest torture chambers of the soul, where rapacious dreams dwell and nightmares are forged. Come explore the mind's private darkness. Really excited. And the other book that I want to read is The Divine Sword by Rita Chaudhary. Now this is actually a translated version of a popular Assamese classic called Deolankhui, and I am really happy to be able to read it. I'll probably get it very soon. I think it's in transit right now, so I'll have a physical copy of it soon. Really excited for this. And if you're looking for books from the Northeast, of course, that are translated in case you don't know how to read Assamese, then this is a book that you can read for that challenge as well. So that's that. Lastly, we have the Read Any Book by a Trans Woman, and for this I have 4 recommendations. I really searched the net for all of these, so I don't think I'll be able to tell you a lot about them, but I'll make sure to link everything down below, because I'm getting these books on Kindle only, because the paperbacks are a bit costly, so I'll just get the Kindle version. So I have Variations by Juliet Jacques. As far as I know, this is a collection of stories regarding the queer identity, the trans identity in different times, say in the Victorian times, in Oscar Wilde's time, in blah blah blah, in different time periods. So I'm really excited for this one. Then we have Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt. As far as I know, this is a literary fiction, and literary fiction is a fiction that I really enjoy, as you all know. I did get a few books on trans characters or books written by trans authors that are YA romance, and YA romance is not something that I'm interested in anymore. I read adult romance, so this is my preference. I prefer literary fiction, genre fiction, all of that. So I'm really happy that I found this, Tell Me I'm Worthless. Then we have Manhunt by Gretchen Feller Martin, I believe, and I think this is kind of a horror book, not sure, but yeah, very excited for this. I think I saw it on someone's YouTube video, and they had only good things to say about it. So yeah, very excited. And the last book that I'm going to be reading for this prompt, and therefore this whole challenge, is I'm Afraid of Men by Vivek Shraya. And again, this is another short book that I'll probably be done with soon, and I'll also educate myself more on the whole trans identity, trans issues that will probably be addressed in these books, more or less, I guess. So yeah, those are all the books that I have for the Drama Queenathon, and that is my Drama Queenathon TBR. And with that, I think these are all my books that I plan to read in March. I know it's a huge pile, but I have only high hopes for all of them. As you can see, I only have 4 physical books from my whole TBR right now. Hopefully I'll get the rest very soon, but even if I don't, I'll start with the ones that I already have. So yeah, I hope you'll enjoy the upcoming videos. I think I might make some vlogs as well for these reading challenges. Yeah, I am hoping you enjoy this, and I'll make my I keep saying bullet journal, but I'll probably update my reading journal now, so I hope you stay tuned and watch that bit before we all call it a day. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.